Hey you guys, what's going on? My name is Read the Writer. So I saw this video. It was trending all over TikTok. And basically in the video, it was kind of just going over a interview that Chris Hemsworth, the actor that has notoriously played Thor for as long as I've, heard of Chris Hemsworth. He made a very bold statement that really stuck out to me that I really want to talk about. And that statement was, and this is pertaining to him playing Thor in the latest Thor movie that came out about 2022, which was Thor Love and Thunder. And here is what Chris Hemsworth actually said. He said, "I became a parody of myself in Thor Love and Thunder." And my gosh, that stuck out to me. So I read the Vanity Fair article. I'm not going to read all of that. I'm actually going to read like a summarized version of it on NBC's news. They have a little article up about it. Because I just wanted to talk to you guys about the highlight points of it. Because that really stuck out to me just for Chris Hemsworth to say that. And in all honesty and all truths, because I have to be truthful to you guys on this channel, I absolutely hated Love and Thunder. I did not like the movie. Sure, it was funny. There were the goats. But like there was also Christian Bale. Christian Bale is just, it's Christian Bale. This is the man who played Batman in Dark Knight. This is Bruce Wayne. So they had everyone that they could have possibly needed to have made Thor Love and Thunder a good movie, but I don't ever blame the actors for giving their best to whatever script that is being presented to them. Because there's like, it comes in two folds. It's either a bad script and a good actor. And a good actor can make a bad script work to their best ability. Keep that in mind, to the best of their ability. But there's also a bad actor being presented a good script. That happens too. But in this case, I would have to say that with Chris Hemsworth potential, he's in his prime. He looked fantastic. He looks like Thor. He has all the makings. The first Thor movie, to me, is so groundbreaking, especially with Anthony Hopkins in it. The casting was phenomenal in the first Thor movie. I've recently been going back to the previous Marvel flicks, like I did do Ant-Man. I went back, I did Iron Man, and I did do Thor. And I did the first Avengers, just the coupling, the grouping of all of them. And golly, the script and the writings in the first beginner Avengers is just something else. My gosh. So this is never to denounce Chris Hemsworth. It's basically just to say that Love and Thunder was a bad script. It was a bad script. And I'll say it was bad because the writers for Love and Thunder and also for Thor Ragnarok, a lot of people might be mad at me about that, but I'll go over my points once we start reading. But the writers, and whoever hands that passed through for this film to actually get into the cinema, they did not understand the Thor character. They did not have an understanding of who he was, what he had endured during the first two movies, and how he should have been led through all the way up until Endgame. I feel as if they lost track of Thor after Ragnarok, and that's when Thor became a comedic joke. He no longer carried the weight of who he should have been as a character, and that's when his progression of his growth became stagnant for a while, then completely declined and went back. You know what I mean? it did not happen the way it should have happened. So yeah, I would never blame Chris Hemsworth for that. And this, to me, this is a testament to Chris Hemsworth as well. For him to take on that blow that this role, particularly for this movie, did not perform well. But he should not have ever been the one to take that upon himself. This is 100% Disney. This is Marvel. And this is Kevin Feige at, you know, truthfully, because Kevin Feige is over Marvel. So when I look at what's being produced through Marvel, I look at the people who are in charge and the people who are putting people in charge of these films. And, you know, it's just one of the things. But yet, Thor in the comics, because I've been reading a couple of Thor comics, he is charming, he is blunt, he is sarcastic, he has humor, he is stubborn at times, he is very full of himself and very confident and cocky. But the Thor in the comics, which they got wrong, was he is heroic. You know, he is sacrificial. He will put himself on the line for anybody, for any character. And he understands his place in his world. He understands that he's prince, he's a king. And he takes that quite seriously when it comes to his companions, when it comes to being in the Avengers, when it comes to his relationship with Loki, his relationship with his father, Odin, you know, and all that stuff. He takes his job seriously, but it really was the writing, it was the story that lost track of who Thor was. And they made him a comedic joke, and they made a comedy of something that should have never been funny in the first place. And like I said, there are moments in the comics where Thor will yell something and Thor's fun, and Thor, will make a moment, bring laughter and joy. But at the same time, the flip side of who Thor, that character, is, he's daring, he's sacrificial. He's the first person to put himself on the line. So, yeah, they messed up with that script. But yeah, we're going to read the article. And we're going to go through what Chris Hemsworth has said. Because I want you guys to hear that. So here we go. It goes by Variety. Chris Hemsworth graces the cover of Vanity Fair, May 24th issue, where he revealed that he feels Marvel fans deserve another Thor. And I'll be the first to say it, I don't think we need another Thor. Until they either remove the creatives who are on Marvel, who do not read the Marvel comics, because it baffles me so much so that how can you have the blueprint of Marvel, the literal blueprint, which is the comics, and you create an environment where, and this is pertaining to Kevin Feige really, you create an environment where the creatives who come in, who are writing the script, and you encourage them not to read the comics. So they have an understanding of what was there before them and why there was an audience of diehard fans that over the decades have stayed and latched onto these characters. Like it's like being given a recipe, but yet you're choosing to do a Betty Crocker and add some weird stuff, some cinnamon, and I don't like nutmeg. You add on your own nutmeg and you start playing games when no games were needed. you didn't have to add in an egg. It didn't say that for the directions. I'm gonna cough. I have allergies right now. I'm trying to breathe, but yeah, like they didn't have to do that. They had the blueprint. They had the recipe. They had the fans, and they played around and they found out, and they found out the right way. We don't like Thor anymore. we barely even like Hulk. And they butchered that character. Bruce Banner, like, right, Professor Hulk, what? They ruined so much stuff. Let me keep reading. Because I'm running amok right now. I'm running amok because I'd be frustrated. The actor already admitted to GQ last year that his fourth standalone Thor movie was too silly. And it was too silly for its own good. But the misstep appears to continue to haunt him. As it should. Yeah. Because you're playing this character that is famous, first of all. That is a part of history. This is iconic. And that's what Marvel is. It's iconic. You are a part of anime, fiction, heroes, you know, that whole lore. It's a whole world within itself, and you're part of history now. Especially with once we got to the last Avengers, it's a staple piece on when we think of the 2010s, we think about Avengers. You're part of history. And they messed that up. He goes on, I got caught up in the improv and the wackiness, and I became a parody of myself. Hemsworth told Vanity Fair, I didn't stick the landing. I don't know what he's talking about. There was no landing to stick, because it wasn't a comedy. Thor isn't a comedy. You know? Waterboy, that's a comedy. Like, you know what I mean? That SpongeBob, that's a comedy. Thor is not a comedy. It's not. You're talking about a god. A Norseman god. And like I said before, there is a charming side to Thor, but Thor historically is a brutal character who has endured a lot, especially for just basing it off of what happened to Thor. He lost his father. He lost his mother. All his friends have died. Where he lived, that whole planet, that whole section does not exist anymore. All his friends are dead. They now live on Earth. He went through the whole blip, the snapping of the fingers. He went through that. He lost everyone. He lost the majority of people who were part of his families, his community. They all are dead. I don't know how much more to say that, but I'm not even Thor, and that gives me depression. Could you imagine? Everyone you loved is dead. Where's the comedy? Maybe a smile, maybe some hope, maybe a grin, but you know, him laughing with, I don't know if I'm gonna say it right, with Mjolnir. There we go, Mjolnir, his hammer, making that a joke. You know, what was that? That horrible hologram of what's his name's son, that was egregious. So there should have been no stick to land, because this wasn't a comedy. I did not see Adam Sandler once in this film. Like, you know, there was no Will Ferrell. This is not, where was Kevin Hart? There was no comedy. There was nothing to land. Chris Hemsworth also has been grateful for his career, and I appreciate him for that. Roles Thor, because Thor, yeah, him playing Thor put Chris Hemsworth on the map, as it did many other characters. The only person who I would give props to who came into Marvel before, I'm just talking about Avengers, not like Blade or, you know, Wesley Snipes was already famous. I'm not talking about that other stuff. I'm just saying within the Avengers, yeah, definitely, Thor made Chris Hemsworth, like it did some other people, except for Robert Downey Jr. He was already a famous like child actor, so teenage actor, so he was already doing his stuff. And same thing with Scarlett Johansson. I will give that to her too. She was already famous. Some other people as well, but you know what I mean. So let's see what else. While Chris Hemsworth has always been grateful for his career, he admitted to the publication that he grew frustrated with the character while playing him in 4 standalone Marvel films and additional Avengers movies. And I don't blame him. I would have been frustrated too, knowing, because I feel like Chris Hemsworth is the type, I feel like he's a Henry Cavill, where he does his research and he understands this character. And to watch this character that you're playing degenerate, that's the nicest way as I can put it, to watch this character unravel and become a joke, it would have frustrated me too. because you know you expect so much more, but yet the writers did not know what to do with this character. Especially once we got to the last Avengers, when Thor became fat. And you have Valkyrie now is the king of her people. Of them. I was like, and Thor is drinking beers, playing video games, is a slob, out of shape. That's not Thor. Thor would have never lost himself to that extent, especially if we're basing it off of comics. Like, granted, like, he goes through his depression spills, but for Thor, especially if we're just basing off the early comics, he would have risen to the occasion. It would have been more understandable for Thor during the second Avengers, for Endgame, for instead of him becoming a slob, a fat man, it would have been more understandable for him to become like a totalitarian leader. More vicious, more fierce, him being more protective of his people. That would have been a more understanding plot twist, or plot point, I mean, instead of him just drinking beers and not wanting to fight and just having this this victim mentality, which was just disgusting. Then you had Thor, Love and Thunder, and it's just, I'm telling you guys, I did not understand the direction for that, especially with his relationship with Jane and her having cancer, and just looking at the disaster that it was. It's just, it just disgusts me. Okay, sometimes I feel like a security guard for the team. Hemsworth said, I would read everyone else's lines and go, oh, they got way cooler stuff. Definitely. They're having more fun. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson was killing it in Avengers, bro. Her sacrificing her life, just doing that. I was in the theaters crying. Golly. They didn't give that man nothing to do. Nothing to do. They gave up on him. He goes, you have the wig on. You got the muscles. You've got the costume. Where's the lighting? Yeah, I'm a part of this big thing, but I'm probably pretty replaceable. And you're not. I would say that to Chris Hemsworth. You're not replaceable. It was just the writing. They didn't know where to put him or how to make him relevant to the story, when he should have been the most relevant for the story. Like I said, it would have been wiser to have seen him become the leader, to become a protector of the world, to have risen up with the new Asgard, to become the champion, become the king, to almost have an insatiable desire to hunt for villains. Like that I could have seen. That would have made sense. He said, for what it's worth, Hemsworth, longtime Marvel co-star, Iron Man, and actor Robert Downey Jr. refuses to listen to such claims, saying, first off, Thor as a character is super tricky to adapt. It would have been tricky to adapt if you didn't understand the character. Lots of implied limitations. I'm not sure about that. You know, I would have to hear that from the writers to see what they could have done or what they couldn't have done. Interesting take right there. But he and Ken Brignoff, probably saying it wrong, figured out how to transcend, make him slowly relatable, but godlike. No, I disagree. He became less and less godlike. And that's another point right there. Thor lost his god status, which he had in the first Thor. Granted, in the first Thor movie, he begins to tap into a humanity, but yet he is a prince from Asgard. He came into Earth with a certain air of arrogance to him, which completely lost throughout the movies, which they should have never taken from him. And just having that little principle of him believing and understand that he is a god, not from Earth, though he does love Earth and he wants to protect it, but him having that godlike authority and principle and standing about essence to himself, that would have beautifully transcended into the movies. Even more as he began to lose in his life, to have losses and death, to bring more of that Odin adaptability to his character would have been awesome. But you know, they didn't hire, I was probably too young. Now I'm in camp, I was too young in the 2000s, so I was a baby. But man, should have had me in the writing room. I would have been fighting. I would have got fired though, but I would have been like, that's not right. That's not right. Hemsworth is, in my opinion, the most complex psyche. Yeah. Okay, let me keep reading. Okay, Thor turned Hemsworth into a big, brawny Hollywood action star. He continued to dominate the movies such as Netflix Extraction. I didn't see it. I don't know if I want to see it. I just haven't seen it. But the actor yearns for more, telling Vanity Fair he wants to work outside the action movie genre and collaborate with filmmakers such as Christopher Nolan, Catherine Bigelow, Greta Gerwig, Martin Scorsese, and Steven Spielberg. Yeah, I can see that. And revealed Darren, let me see. Oh, these names. I know how to pronounce this. Aronofsky? It's Nofsky. There you go. Who produces his adventure documentary series Limitless, is developing 2 potential projects with him in mind to star. One is a dark comedy. Ugh, you gotta stay away from those. Stay away from the comedies. And the other is a sci-fi project. Okay. But and that's another thing I have to point out about being an actor. I'm not an actor. I'm not an actress. But sometimes I would feel as if you have a gap in your career. Being an actor is incredibly expensive. Oh my gosh, it's so expensive. You're paying for lawyers. You're paying your agent. You are part of a agency. You're paying your agency, gets a percentage. You also, let's say in Hemsworth case, I'm not sure how he does his workout, but his fitness, but you would have to have a trainer to build you up or to level you out depending on what film you're going to be in, right, to be in shape. You would also need to have a chef. Because I don't know, I don't foresee these people, with as busy as their lives are, cooking every day. Some do, but I just don't see him as busy as Chris Hemsworth is. So you have a chef, you have a home that costs millions of dollars, you have, in Chris Hemsworth's case, he has a wife, he has 3 children. His kids are definitely in a private school, right? Because they can't just be in a normal public school with your father being Chris Hemsworth. You have maybe a makeup team, makeup artist, a stylist possibly. You're going to award shows, you're paying. In a lot of the cases, these actors and actresses, they get billed, not financially billed, but I'm just saying like billed to wear certain clothes. Like let's say like a Tom Ford, since Chris Hemsworth is his man, to wear a suit. So maybe some of the clothes are for free, but in other cases you're paying for this stuff. You're paying for valet, you're paying for maybe babysitter, you're paying for security. It's just, you see what I'm saying? To be an actor is expensive. And yes, you might make 10 million or 5 million for a role, but out the door you're losing like 2 million just on you getting to this stage. Then you have taxes. So yeah, they're probably in a never-ending cycle of having to get these roles. And yeah, a lot of the times you gotta just take what you can get, whatever is in front of you. So yeah, I can understand why he's doing a dark comedy. It happens, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not just him, it's a lot of these actors. They're moving from role to role, and sometimes there's gaps for maybe a year where they won't get anything, but you know, they're fighting for the next role, so you're just gonna take whatever you can take. Which the actor said is his favorite role heading into the Ron Howard 2013 car movie, Rush. Okay. He said, Ron took me out of the typecast space of the muscly action guy and let me play a character with complications and darkness. Hemsworth said, I remember thinking at the time, oh, this is going to change everything. And he also added, it's been a long wait. He had to get another chance to show off more than just the muscly action guy chops, but that's what Furiosa is in his eyes. I don't know. I feel like Furiosa is right up there with the type of character. Maybe not the same. That character, it looked like he was a villain. Oh, let me fix my camera. I'm not editing any of this. Okay, yeah, there we go. But yeah, it looks like Furiosa, he's playing a villain that's a little bit more deranged. But it still feels like, this, not similar. The movie was shot during something of an existential crisis for Hemsworth and the non-stop flow of his career. Yeah, I can see that. Let me go down to the article. I was making it back-to-back movies and doing press tours. And that's what I'm saying. They don't got time for nothing. I was married and I had 3 young kids, and it was all happening at the same time in a very short window. He said, you're just running on fumes, then you're showing up to something with a little in the tank. Yeah. Oh, here we go. I'm gonna read this. And he says, and you're showing up to something with little in the tank, and you start to pick things apart. Why am I doing this film? Why isn't the script better? Disney, Marvel. Why did the director call me for that, or why didn't I get considered for this role? Why don't I get calls up for Scorsese or Tarantino? I like Tarantino a lot, like a lot. Like Tarantino is, I would love to meet him. Same with like Clint Eastwood. I like to meet those people. And who else? There's a couple people I would love to meet. And I had begun to take it all too serious and too personal. He's talking about Furiosa, and he says Thor 5 would be unpredictable. I don't want to continue to do it until people are exhausted that they roll their eyes, which we are, and they see me come up on the screen as that character. If the audience wants to see it, and if there's something that we believe is exciting, fun, then great. I've loved being able to reinvent that character a few times. I don't have the answer yet, but I would like to try and figure out how we can do it again and keep it a little unpredictable. Yeah, that's the end of the article, you guys. Well, my thoughts for Chris Hemsworth. I think with Chris Hemsworth, he is charismatic. He's very beautiful. To me, he's one of the most beautiful men I'd ever seen visually on screen. He's gorgeous. I don't say that about a lot of people, but yeah, Chris Hemsworth is gorgeous. And he looked beautiful in Thor Love and Thunder. Absolutely beautiful. Especially that scene where he's fighting those monsters. And he sees Jane and he's wearing his more iconic Thor suit. Beautiful. He's such a beautiful, handsome man, and he seems like a really great person to work with. And I do applaud him for taking that accountability, because someone had to do it. If it wasn't going to be the directors, YTT, hey, you know, I have a lot of thoughts about him as well, but truthfully, I think with the Thor character, I would say unless they had a vision for that character, they knew what to do with him and how to transmute him into the next phase, I would say leave him alone. Absolutely. I think Marvel should focus on X-Men, which they're doing. I'm a little nervous. Fantastic Four, I'm nervous. And a on-the-ground grunge hero, which is Peter Parker. In New York. They should focus on that. And maybe some side quests with some other Avenger characters, but in all for all, I think Thor at this moment, the branding has been damaged tremendously. And what can they do next? Honestly, rewrite, rescript, go through the comics, go through the blueprints, see what else they have to write about. There's plenty of stories. Or what they can do is just reboot everything, which I'm at this point thinking they should, because it's been about like, what, 20 years almost? Just reboot it all. If you still want to tap into the Avengers, because I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is dead. Iron Man is dead. You know, Scarlet Witch is evil now. You know, there's not really much there. She taking over whole towns now with Agatha. You know, Vision is White Vision. Where has White Vision been? We don't know. We don't even know where that's at. That's confusing. Loki is operating as God now. He's connected all the lines of every thread of the universe. He's, I think, was like the tree of life. I'm probably not saying it right, but the tree, you know what I mean? And all the other actors are just old. I'm not saying they're too old to play those characters anymore, but it's just like, you know, we've lost everybody. We've been here, we've seen it. Chris Hemsworth, if they did do another last Thor movie, hopefully it's something impactful. Hopefully it's not the same old that we've already gotten from Thor, which is another retelling of Thor not knowing who he is anymore, losing himself, refining himself. He has a kid now that he's raising, another girl boss. It's just, you know, it's just, man, I don't even know at this point. Just the direction. It's not really up to Chris Hemsworth. It's up to Marvel, but just the direction alone of Marvel. And in regards to Avengers, I don't know where they could go at this point. I see what they're doing. I see them setting up for the young Avengers, but compared to like the cartoon shows, could they do something similar to that and have maybe an older generation of Avengers that the younger Avengers are being influenced by, and having it being done properly? At this point, I have very little hope. I don't really have any more expectations for them. And it might sound really doubtful, but it's just from what we've gotten for this past like 5 years. It's just, I don't have a lot of hope. And like I said, my only hope is for X-Men, for Fantastic Four. I like the new X-Men 1997. I started the episode 1 and 2 because I was just waiting for all the episodes to be dropped. I know 10 drops this week, so I'm just gonna like blow through it all. But I like what I'm seeing so far just with that. And everything else, Blade hopefully is being worked through the pipeline. I'm excited for that. But anything else, like the Thunderbolts is coming up as well. I don't know if they know what to even do with the Thunderbolts. So I don't know. We will see. We will see. I am like cheering on Chris Hemsworth. I'm hoping him for the best. And you know, I'm also hoping that as he progresses in his career, that maybe this is like the phase for him where he steps out of the limelight. Not in terms of being famous, because once you're famous, you're famous. You're famous till you die. But he gets away from like blockbuster movies. Like if he wants to work with like say a Nolan or Scorsese, like these people, and he does smaller movies to kind of bring him out of that character type. You know, it kind of reminds me of Matthew McConaughey, and Matthew McConaughey had the same issue as well, this character type. And I think it was like Matthew, I think he said it in one of his like not interviews, he was on stage receiving an award, and he kind of just said like he decided to take like a different direction with his acting, and instead of like wanting and craving for the awards and the accolades, he instead started picking films that excited him and that made him genuinely happy. And that's when he started receiving awards and being offered for better roles and scripts and working with the directors that he wanted. So my hope will be the same thing for Chris Hemsworth. Like whatever like he's aiming for, he takes like a back seat. I would love to see Chris Hemsworth do a indie film, like something small scale. And this is where I give it like a lot of love to like a Kristen Stewart. She does that like so well. She plays like these small like little roles, but it's so impactful, like just her stage presence alone. Yeah, I would love to see Chris Hemsworth just like take a step back from blockbusters, get away from Ghostbusters and Men in Black, get away from Disney, and just do something small, something like a heartfelt, something family. And it can be sci-fi, it doesn't matter, but something different, something that we would not expect for him to do, that's so not on brand for Chris Hemsworth. So we can see all the beautiful different sides of his acting ability. Because I feel like just looking at him, he can do it. Like, he can become something else besides like a muscly character. And I like that he pointed that out. So yeah, I'm excited to see his career. You know, if he does get into that movie and I hear a lot of noise going on with it, like, I will definitely check it out. But we'll see. I like to see what he does in this next like decade. We're still in the 20s. To see what he performs. But yeah, like I said, I would love to see him a small little indie something, a little Sundance, something film, something that doesn't have a lot of money back in it. Like maybe a movie that's only had, like the budget for the movie is only like $2-3 million. But the script is clean, is fresh. A clean script that takes them from here to like being heated in the oven. And all actors kind of have it. Not all. But I always see that those actors or actresses that get that tiny role that blows them up. Like, they've always been acting. But it's that one role that makes them, like, pop. You know what I mean? And I hope he gets that something small. Like, what is it? What is that actor's name? Here, let me type it in. We do everything raw here. Here, let me type in the movie. So it was Brendan Fraser and The Whale. Golly, The Whale. That movie. But it's such a small movie, right? Such a small movie. It didn't have a crazy budget. The movie is so intimate. It just focused on like a family dynamic, health, and a man's struggle with his obesity and his diet and his cravings and his addiction. And it's such a small story, but yet it's so heavy weighted and it's so realistic, and you feel so much with this movie. And that's what Chris Hemsworth, he needs a small something role, like him being a dad and he's like a drug addict or something, or maybe he's a man who has a dream of owning a bakery, but like his father like has like a car business and he can't get out of it, and he's spiraling. Like, you know what I mean? Like, those type of roles are the ones that take you from here to there. It's like Joy with Jennifer Lawrence. Like, it's just that role. So we'll see. But yeah, get away from the superhero movies. Just back away, run. Run. Alright, you guys, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I'll put the article for this so you guys can read it on your own. But yeah, I will see you for the next video. I am out.